Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and I just watched T1 lose to Team Dynamics. So I'm very excited to see how the rest of this slate goes. They were my primary stack in a qualifier, but I might actually not be dead. But we'll see how that goes as the day progresses. But what I wanted to do for the beginning of this video is to kind of go over some of the decision points that T1 had to go through in this game. I think this is pretty important for people who play League of Legends to understand, like, understand the decisions that they had to make. Try to figure out, is there a way they could have anticipated this better? Just like some things like that, because like I get it, T1 shouldn't be losing to Team Dynamics, right? But if they're going to make as many mistakes as they made and still have a chance to win the game, down Infernal Soul, they still had a realistic chance of winning this game because of the team composition, because of their ability to execute team fights, and it ended up being Teddy mispositioning at the end of the game that kind of caused the loss. Because I still think they probably should have won this game. But we're just gonna skip ahead and talk about some of the decisions that they had to make. So right now they are ahead in gold. They have a tower advantage. But as you see, they start giving up a couple of dragons, and this is a pretty difficult situation. So right now there's a Rift Herald going on, right? And the casters did mention this at one point, so good for them. I think it was in the previous game though. Actually, no, it was this It was this game. So they were saying, when an objective is coming, you need to decide, am I going to fight this objective or am I going to trade this objective? If I'm going to trade the objective, what can I take on the map? So the problem with most players in League of Legends is that a lot of the time they will forget that an objective is happening until the objective is imminent. And by imminent, I mean like within 20 seconds. Because when you get to the point where it's within 20 seconds, then you don't have the time to go set up a wave, then push the wave, and then take a tower. You need to be able to set that up a minute in advance, a minute and a half in advance. And that's why it's so important to always keep in mind what objectives are coming up, when is Rift Herald spawning, when is the Dragon spawning, when is Baron spawning. These are all the neutral objectives that kind of like pause the normal game flow and creates a mini game, basically, where you have to go take this objective or give it up to your opponent, where they're going to get some kind of power, increase in power, and then it returns back to the laning phase. Not laning phase, the laning game, where you're pushing minion waves and trying to get advantages on the map through towers. So right now we have a Rift Herald going on. The towers are even. So if I was T1 and I thought that this was an important point in the match, like an extremely important point where Rift Herald cannot be given up, if that was kind of my mentality, then my two options are taking top tower or mid tower. Faker's already creating pressure in the bot lane. So what this is telling me is that T1, after this wave gets pushed in one more time, they probably have between 30 seconds to a minute where they could theoretically have 4 or 5 players in the mid lane trying to siege mid tower, and that's going to counteract the Rift Herald, at least somewhat. I'm not sure that's what they do. So it looks like they're just continuously cycling recalls so that they can regroup for the next dragon. So let's go back to... Yeah, never mind. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So now they're kind of readjusting the towers that they're prioritizing. Does that tower go down? So they send Ken in bot lane, they send Faker top lane. They have Teddy picking up the minions in mid. The reason why they do this is because it's the safest place for Teddy to be, theoretically. With a Rift Herald, I think that's not actually the case, because all Dynamics has to do is clear out one wave, summon Rift Herald. Rift Herald's going to destroy the tower. So at this point, T1 knows we are going to be at a tower disadvantage unless we take top tower or equalize mid right after they take it. So this is that point. We're at the 20-minute, 30-second mark. Dragon is 1 minute and 20 seconds away. Baron is also on the map right now. So these are all important things that everybody has to kind of keep track of. It looks like Galio is also going to be able to take top tower. So again, we're 1 minute away, right? So this is the point right here where T1 needs to be asking themselves which objectives are available to us on the map. There's top tower, Baron, mid tower, and Dragon. Fighting, and like let's go through the different priorities that they probably have. The most important objective on the map right now is Baron. Why is Baron so important? Because if T1 is able to secure Baron, it will almost certainly get them top tower and mid tower. It could also help them get the third dragon if they're able to take it before the dragon is taken off of the map. The reason why it can help you take the dragon is because of minion priority and like shoving the different lanes down. So basically what a team can do is take the minions, put them all the way down into this base, basically, and in order for T1 to get from point A to point B, which is the dragon pit, they're going to have to either clear out the minions and walk, or walk past the minions and get to the dragon pit. The reason why it's important for you to have to walk past the minions is because it's free vision. So if Team Dynamics is unable to get vision control over the jungle before that dragon spawns, by having the minions, they have like pseudo ward coverage, which is not game changing, but it's helpful. So again, we're 1 minute away. Top tower, Baron, mid tower, dragon. Right? Just keep that in mind, because that's going to be an important thing to reconsider about a minute from now. So we're just getting closer. So now we're 15 seconds away. So if we look at the map state right now, Kennen is in the bot lane. Kennen has TP. Kennen's looking for an engage. So typically what a Kennen's going to do is teleport to probably this ward over here. Not many good options for him. And this is one of the weaknesses of T1's composition, is that they don't have great engage. So if LS was the caster on this day, which he was not, he would be probably freaking out about why are you picking Kennen in this spot, because Kennen wants to go into the back line, and in reality Teddy's the focal point and everything should kind of be played around Teddy. So maybe more of a disengaging champion. Now this is when people often make the claim that Kennen can also be used as a disengaged champion, and I think that is true, but it depends on what kind of champions you're peeling away from your carry. So it's pretty difficult to stop Olaf with Kennen, because he has an ultimate, which will just basically negate the CC from that. Galio, a lot of Galio, for Galio, you're not really too concerned about peeling him off of Teddy, because Galio has so many different ways to disrupt Teddy to begin with. Like if he gets a taunt, then you're you kind of deserve to lose that fight anyways. So I think basically what T1 is saying is, you are going to dive Teddy, and we are going to dive your AD carry. Which one is going to be more successful? It's easier for Teddy to defend himself, through damage. Ezreal on the other hand is more of like kiting backwards and basically trying to escape while dealing damage. So it should be pretty interesting team fights, and we do see some good team fights in this game. But again, we have 10 seconds. So you have to ask yourself now, if you're T1, which objectives on the map are available and which one is our priority. So Kennen has been in the bot lane, right? Why is Kennen in the bot lane? Kennen, if T1 is thinking to themselves, we need Kennen to teleport into the fight so that he gets the little additional speed boost and then can also flank onto the back line, then he should probably be top lane right now. The reason I think that he is not top lane, which this could be a mistake, obviously, where they just made a mistake, they weren't thinking or something. I think Kennen is in the bot lane because they want to not necessarily have to use the teleport so that it's available for Baron. And while I think that's reasonable, It would probably be a simpler way to play if you just put Ken in top lane, because it's going to make the team dynamics feel even more pressured into starting up Dragon and taking the objective to force out the teleport. So you want to teleport, and they're going to try to get you to teleport. So it's kind of like they're playing right into your hand. The only issue is that, actually, it's not even an issue. So right now, this is not a good place to teleport. There's no good place to teleport right here. So you'd probably have to teleport onto this ward and then try to make your way into the team fight. If Kennen was top lane, he has this back control ward as an option. So the reason why this is important is because team dynamics will eventually make their way to the Dragon Pit to try to take Dragon, obviously, and that would be a much easier way for Kennen to get into the fight. He has teleport, he has flash, he has Hextech Proto Belt, I believe, at this point as well. Teddy ate a lot of damage right there. Pretty big mistake from him, and he made a few mistakes like that in this game. So we're 5 seconds away. T1 has basically said, we're going to have Kennen in the bot lane with no objective to threaten, and Team Dynamics is threatening Soul Point. So T1 could have been around Baron, threatening Baron. The reason why that's probably not a good idea is because Team Dynamics would most likely just send one person to Dragon, take Dragon, and then have the rest of the team go up to Baron and contest Baron. T1's other option was Kennen top lane. Probably looks like the right decision at this point. And then the other one would be pressure mid as 4 to 5 players. The reason why this might not... It's obviously the most... It's the one that makes the most sense. It might not be the best, but it's the easiest one to think of because it's the one that's closest to the Dragon Pit. So you're basically trying to contest their minion wave, shove it into the tower, and then if they take Dragon, you take mid, and then you've equalized mid pressure, which is beneficial because it is an issue for the rest of the game, and we will see at another point where T1 does take the tower, but it's just a beneficial thing from a positional perspective to get that off of the map so that the minion wave starts to settle more towards the middle of the lane as opposed to your side of the lane because of that artificial ward coverage we were talking about earlier. So yeah, pretty frustrating game to watch. So I think that Kennen should probably be top lane, would have given him access to a better flank ward. Teddy has been able to regen everything at this point. So right now, Dynamics is on the Dragon. So at this point, T1's already pretty screwed. Like, from this spot right here, how are they going to threaten an objective to trade or fight? There's really no good option for them. So this is just a mistake. This is just a lost position. Not like long-term lost, but there's no good answer here. So that now they're walking down mid lane, hoping that Dynamics hasn't started the Dragon already. But by the time they make their way over, it's too late. So now they're on Soul Point, and this is extremely important because T1 is probably thinking to themselves, 5 minutes from now, we're still going to be stronger than them. As the game goes on, we're going to be stronger than them. This really isn't that big of an issue as long as we play the next fight correctly. And this is a mistake that you see at every level of League of Legends because everyone just assumes, oh, well, next time we'll just make the right decision. What's the issue? Like, I'm smart enough. I understand how to play League of Legends. We lost this dragon, but the next dragon, we'll be in position for the next dragon because we're never not in position for some objective. The problem is that 4 minutes from now, you need to be thinking to yourself which objectives are available, which ones can we theoretically trade, and at that point you have to realize, oh, there's nothing that we can trade because this is Dragon Soul, and if we lose Dragon Soul, we will most likely lose the game. Probably like 90 to 95%. But what do I know? And obviously T1 isn't thinking to themselves that they're going to give away Dragon Soul for free. But this was a missed opportunity to kind of trade advantages. So one thing that I've been talking about more often with the team is positional advantage versus material advantage. So a material advantage, T1 currently has the material advantage. It's probably very close, but there's the inevitability that T1 will have a material advantage because they have Aphelios and Dynamics has Ezreal. So Ezreal is pretty good, but Ezreal is not Aphelios in terms of the ability to pump out damage in the late game. Again, very good champion, not Aphelios though. So even if it's a small edge, that edge is on the side of T1. With that additional damage amplification from Lulu, the additional security from Lulu, I think that it's quite clear that T1's team composition will outscale Team Dynamics. So now that Dragon is gone, we got to reevaluate the options. So now, what are the options that are available to T1? T1 can threaten Baron, take mid lane, or take top lane. Top lane is extremely low. You could probably just walk up there, attack it once, and it's gone. So I would recommend doing that. You're going to get a little chunk of gold, and you're going to improve your positional advantage. Well, not improve your positional advantage. You're going to improve your position because right now you're at a positional disadvantage. And it'll just make it simpler in the future. So I think that is a great option. That Kana will probably be the one to take that one down. Okay, so now again we're up 1,000 gold as T1. We're contesting the minion wave. We want to take this tower, but can we take this tower? Unclear. They decide to back off. They're looking to get some ward coverage around Baron. This is another spot where they could have taken top tower. It looks like Faker pushes in the wave, but then doesn't take the top tower. So again, these are the things that seem so simple when you're playing the game. It's like, oh yeah, the tower's like 80% gone. We'll just get rid of the tower. No worries. We'll get it eventually. But what if you don't get it eventually? And what if that tower loses you the game? It's not going to happen in this game, but what if it did? Okay, so again, T1 kind of corralled, if you will, onto their own portion of Summoner's Rift. Down 2 dragons, down 2 towers, and T1 has to be concerned because if they're unable to contest this next dragon, then they're gonna have the other team with Infernal Soul. Can we beat their team composition with Infernal Soul if Sylas steals away Kennen's ultimate? Probably not. It's a very dangerous position to be in. So right now, Dragon is 55 seconds away. All right, so let's see what's going on here. So now, T1 is setting up a play on top side. So this is a little bit more proactive from T1. Let's see what they do. Okay. All right. Okay. Very close. Very close. Very, very questionable on that one. So if Kana was top lane earlier for the previous dragon fight, then that tower wouldn't have been there. Faker wouldn't have almost died. He didn't die, but he very easily could have died right there. The other thing to take into consideration is Dragon is 40 seconds away. T1 has no control over vision around their jungle. They have no vision control around the dragon, and they have no teleporting. They have no wards to teleport to for Kennen. Kennen doesn't have teleport right now because he has Summoner Spellbook, but that's a different issue for a different day. Not saying that Summoner Spellbook is an issue. It's a very good keystone. But just for this instance, we don't have to really think about that. So, and Faker almost dies, but he doesn't because he's Faker. So 30 seconds away. So this is another spot where the positional disadvantage they were in is contributing to difficult decision making. So we're 30 seconds away because they had to expend resources top lane to get that top tower, which they didn't need to do. So maybe that's just a mistake that they made, that they shouldn't have made. Now they're starting a team fight on the bot side. Dragon's up in 20 seconds. They get a kill off. Of that. They're able to secure this dragon, so they're stalling Dragon Soul. So that's a good result from a bad position. I still think that T1 made some questionable decisions there. And if they played the game correctly earlier in the game, it would have been a simpler position to play from. Like it's similar to chess where, yes, You can outplay the position and you can outplay material, but do you really want to do that? The answer should be no. You shouldn't want to do that. So again, we have T1. Baron's on the rift, and Dragon is coming up in 3.5 minutes. So T1, ask yourself again, which objectives do we care about right now? Well, we should care about Baron, and we should care about mid lane, and we should care about the next Dragon. In terms of priority, the Dragon is the most important thing, by far. Baron is the second most important, because Baron will help you take a Dragon because of the minion pressure, or it'll help you take mid lane. So Baron, it's very good, obviously. You want to get the Baron. But I think most people would agree you cannot give up the Infernal Soul, because you're probably just going to lose from that position. So T1, and this is probably a byproduct of playing in Korea. T1 probably thinks like there's nothing that's going to happen for the next 2.5 minutes. Team Dynamics is not going to make a risky play for the next 2 minutes. All we have to do is show up to the next Dragon fight, and we should be able to win the fight and win the game. I think that they didn't really take this into consideration, which is a potential Baron steal. So they're continuously going in, sweeping out vision, getting out, going in, sweeping out vision, getting out. And T1 probably needs to respect Bard more in this spot. Effort is walking around in the jungle, but is not going up to the Baron pit. So if I'm Effort right there, why are you not walking up further? Why are you not getting vision up there? Are you afraid that they're actually on Baron? Because if you're afraid they're on Baron, then you need to walk up. If you don't think they're on Baron, then there's no issue with you walking forward. Like, what's the problem? I just don't understand what's going on here. So they lose Baron. That's very bad. And let's talk about why it's very bad. So they were at a gold disadvantage. Now gold is equalized. They have a tower advantage. They have a dragon advantage. They have soul point, which is going to be able to force T1 to come fight them, which isn't necessarily a problem for T1, but you always want to be the team that's kind of dictating the pace of play and the objectives that are going to be fought around. So now with Baron buff, it makes mid tower not really an option for the next 3 minutes. Baron buff lasts 3 minutes. So since they have Baron buff, it's going to be more difficult for T1 to get vision control around Dragon, get a flanking ward, and also just like fight the Dragon in general. Faker gets caught out of position. I don't have an issue with Faker being top lane and then trying to push out a wave, because he's trying to buy time for his team. So yes, he had to burn his flash, which is an important thing, but I can't really blame him too much for that. So right now, both teams are kind of repositioning themselves around Dragon because they need to be able to fight for the Dragon. So they're 30 seconds ahead. Since there isn't a teleport available to Kennen, he's hanging out in this bush over here. I think this is a good idea. Go for it, sure. You want to be all the way over in this bush? Eventually, theoretically, Dynamics is walking through this corridor. Dynamics is walking through this corridor. Maybe they just don't even check this bush at some point. Everybody walks down to the Dragon pit, and then you get some kind of flanking opportunity. This is a good idea. We'll see how it turns out, but not the worst idea. So right now, Teddy is a level down on Ezreal, but is still technically stronger, I think. T1 looks to engage, and that's very good for them. They got Volibear's ultimate for basically nothing, just because he was kind of in a bad position. But again, we see Baron buff and the Baron wave. This wave is basically gone. So these minions are going to be on this tower after this next fight. So let's roll the tape. Again, we know that Kennen is there. They don't know that Kennen is there. And they check. So I don't know why they checked. I think most teams probably just don't even check. They just walk straight to the Dragon pit. They don't think twice about that bush back there. But they're like, yeah, we haven't really seen Kennen in a pretty long time. Let's just make sure there's no control ward in there. Maybe that's what they were thinking. But good for them. I think that was potentially a game-saving face check. So now Kana is getting chunked out, just taking damage that he doesn't necessarily need to be taking because he had to be in a risky position. He could have been in this bush. He could have been in this bush over here. He could have been in this bush over here. There were a lot of different spots where he could have been, but he chose that bush. I don't think there's no way to know that it was going to turn out like this, but that is the risk you run by going into that bush. So I'm going to slow everything down. So now, he was chunked out once. Now Faker and Kana have both taken even more damage because of a good Ezreal ult. So good job, Deocdom. T1 still feels like they can win this team fight. So now it's going to be very difficult. One of these teams is going to start up the dragon and just continuously pressure dragon to see what they can do. So Kennen again is looking for a flanking position. Not sure why he's been sitting on cleanse for this long. But that's kind of whatever. So I don't like what Elim is doing right here. I'm not going to spend too much time criticizing small mechanical things within a team fight. But this is mostly decision making. So like, why are you up on this part of the map when you should probably be down here helping tank dragon and threatening dragon? If it comes down to a smite fight, he's a level down right now. So that's pretty scary. It's pretty scary for T1. This is another thing that they should have probably taken into consideration when they were setting up for this fight, is if we are going to be at a smite disadvantage, we need to be able to give additional levels to Elim. So instead of flashing out, he just eats the Bard ultimate. He should have flashed out, and the reason he should have flashed out is because Dragon is so low. So you have to kind of think to yourself, Dragon Soul is the most important thing, right? If we lose Dragon Soul, we most likely lose the game. So by flashing Bard ultimate, you give yourself the opportunity to smite away Dragon, even though it's unlikely that you will smite it away because you are at a level disadvantage. But now T1 is kind of just in a horrible position. So I think it is correct for them to not try to force a fight after that. They're not in a good spot. They really needed to set up into a better defensive, not a defensive position. They needed to be able to hold a position around Dragon more easily, and that's part of the reason why maybe a different champion would have been better for T1 in the top lane. I don't think that Kennen is wrong, like in general, but maybe in this game, maybe Kennen wasn't the right decision based on how the draft went. So now Team Dynamics still has the Baron buff for 40 seconds, and they shove in mid. All right, so this is basically a lost game for most teams. So let's go forward. Still have Baron. Still have Baron. Still have Baron. T1 goes for a pretty aggressive play onto Team Dynamics in the top lane. I think this was relatively smart, just poorly executed. He missed his hook there, but not the easiest hook in the world. Now, Teddy was hit by a bunch of Bard ultimates, and that's one of the reasons why Bard is such a good champion, is because it just completely changes the game every time he lands an ultimate onto a carry. They are chasing down, aren't able to get anything. Baron's up in 2 minutes. Elder Dragon's up in a couple of minutes. Let's go forward. So now we are around Baron again. So Baron's up in 30 seconds. Teddy is trying to be aggressive, standing forward in the mid lane, clearing out the minion wave, has the support of Faker, is definitely still stronger than Ezreal. So, like, Aphelios can win a fight on his own, basically. They're playing very aggressive. They don't even care that the other team is there. They're just trying to kill out the minion wave so that it's more difficult for Dynamics to go take Baron. And theoretically, if Dynamics is in a spot where T1 cannot go in, then they can... T1 can just run down mid. But this is another important thing to think about. Like, T1 needs to say, they're on Baron potentially. What are we going to do about it? Are we going to take mid lane, the mid tower, or are we going to contest the Baron? This is probably something they didn't take into consideration. Sylas just took Kennen's ultimate. Now we cannot fight Baron. Because, like, you have to think about it as, it's not just Sylas with a Kennen ultimate, it's Sylas with a Kennen ultimate with Infernal Soul. So I think this was actually a good decision by T1 not taking this fight, because they are going to lose this fight. When Sylas has that Kennen ultimate, I think that he can basically just explode 2 to 3 players at once. So that's pretty terrifying. And I guess their inability to think too far. Well, not inability. I don't think T1 thought 3 minutes ahead, 4 minutes ahead, 5 minutes ahead, or even 35 minutes ahead when the draft happened. I don't think they considered, like, okay, well, they have Silas, we have Kennen. Around a Dragon or Baron fight, if he steals Kennen ultimate, can we contest anything? If the answer is no, then what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Good question. So now they gave up another Baron. That's pretty horrible. And it's horrible for multiple reasons. I'm not saying like that they could have done anything much better at this point in the game, but earlier on they needed to be more aggressive and make better decisions. Having something besides a Kennen's probably better for them as well. I think that's an interesting decision point to think about. Is if you have a Felios and a Lulu, how concerned should you be with Silas as a potential pick, red side, a last pick for red side? I'm pretty sure that was the last pick, right? Yeah. So, yeah. Yep. The Silas was a great the Silas was a great option there. So I think that's just a really good job by them. By them I mean Dynamics. Okay, so I went too far ahead in the game. That's my mistake. My bad. Sue me. We got to go back further. All right, spoilers. Stop looking at the screen. Stop looking at the screen. Okay. So, Baron buff. Again, we went through this before. This was an issue before. It's going to be an issue again. Team Dynamics has Baron buff, continuously forcing the minions toward T1's side of the map. T1's doing a good job holding their position. They're playing pretty aggressive because they know if one player on Dynamics makes one misstep, they can probably blow them up with Teddy. Maybe look for a pick on with the Kennen. This kind of spot is why I think T1 is one of the best teams in the world. Not a lot of teams can make these kinds of plays where they're in a losing position and still continuously looking to fight, looking to put the onus onto Dynamics to make the correct decisions. Okay, so Elder Dragon is up. Elder Dragon has started. Dynamics probably feels very strong right now. They do not have Kennen ultimate though. Because that was stolen away, and you have to wait a long time before you can steal it again. Beyond still has a smite advantage. So let's play this forward a little bit. Elim and Effort both already half health. Teddy is gigantic, has a ton of lifesteal, has Lulu supporting him. He can continuously attack the Elder Dragon if he really wants to or needs to for lifesteal. Galio is looking for a flank. Teddy's at half health. I mean, just a super terrifying position to be in if you're T1. So when I was watching this game live the first time, right here, I thought the game was over. I thought it was completely over. So Kana goes in. Kana is able to help disrupt everything. 2 players from Dynamics go down. And, I mean, just a great fight from T1. So, like, even with Infernal Soul, they're able to have a great fight and make it very difficult for Dynamics to do anything. Honestly, the sad thing, I didn't even think of this until right now. Kuzan manages somehow, well, not somehow, with Infernal Soul, manages to kill Faker and Kana. If this does not happen, T1 wins the game. If that didn't happen, the game would have been over. I didn't think about that before, but the game would have been actually over. So T1, well, maybe not 100% over, but very, very likely that it's over. T1 is able to get the Elder Dragon. So T1 got that because Dynamics made a mistake. You can't really criticize Dynamics too much. Like, T1 just played it super well. They take mid tower now that they have Elder buff, so they're they're very scary. They take 3 towers and an inhibitor, and then Elder buff falls off, so they have to back off. T1 is continuously posturing like they're going to be able to do something. In reality, they're not going to be able to do something. They go to the Baron pit, and now they're looking to force Dynamics to make another bad decision. But it's T1 who makes the bad decision. So we have a Bard. You know what Bard can do? Bard can ult. And Teddy gets hit by another Bard ult. So this is a very scary position for Teddy to be in. He ends up getting stunned by Bard, which is like insane that actually landed. Has to cleanse and get out of there. Kana goes into the back line, is unable to really do anything. The Baron is continuously just spitting at Elam. What a rude person, worm thing. And look how close this fight is. T1 still has Teddy. Teddy is gigantic. Teddy is almost doing Aphelios things. If one of those champions went down, Teddy probably feels strong enough to just go all the way in. This is that right there was probably the last realistic chance T1 had to win the game. They're going to lose another Baron because it's 5-on-2. So they've given up 3 Barons. Good job, T1. And then, again, we have a very questionable spot. So Elder Dragon is on the Rift. They have Baron buff. They could be forcing down minion waves, but they're not going to do that. They're just going to go for a fight. So Olaf is able to secure the Elder Dragon buff. He has a smite advantage still. Kana goes in for an engage, and they're able to kill 2. I mean, great job by Kana trading his life for 2. Now it's going to come down to the rest of the team fight. Are we going to be able to kill off multiple players without dying to Elder Dragon buff? Ezreal is obviously very safe. He can E out, flash out. He has teleport. A lot of ways to get out of this fight. Galio, also pretty safe in this spot. I do think that T1... I do like the fact that they went down mid lane and tried to kind of posture like maybe we can end the game. Pretty scary. But they don't end the game. Spoiler alert: they don't end the game. So now they're down without this buff as well. So all of this happened because of that earlier dragon fight where they just gave up the soul point for free, because you cannot assume that you're going to be able to fight these later on. So maybe at this point we can kind of consider, was T1 correct for trying to start up the Baron instead of just posturing around Baron? I think that they wanted to just kind of shred it. Maybe Effort did that a little too quickly. By it, I mean using his ultimate. In this position, like, if T1 just wants to go for a 50-50 on a Baron smite, like, why not? I mean, you're already in a very lost position. I think it's completely fine. I guess the issue is at some point Bard is going to ult. So that doesn't feel great. It also gives a lot of targets for Galio to engage onto. So pretty difficult. But that's basically it. So really difficult spot. Really difficult spot for T1. And it all kind of just stems from that early decision that they made, where they didn't trade for the objective correctly. They didn't set up for the objective correctly. Pretty surprising. So that was my clip for today, my video for today, instead of the ESPORTSCENTER clips. So let's talk about the matches that are coming up. Tomorrow is Monday, so we only have matches in China. We have Top Esports against V5, and then we have Sunning against Billy Gaming. Is this LPL match really still going on? That is not good news for me if it is. Let's see. All right, YouTube's being funny. Man, what took them so long? So now we are in the third game of LGD OMG. OMG 1 game 1, LGD 1 game 2. So I think I'm still theoretically alive in this contest. But it's not looking great. I need LGD to lose game 3. I need RNG to lose to EDG, but not by a lot. I need RNG EDG to be low scoring, basically. And then what else? I need Gen G to sweep. So we'll see how that goes. But Top Esports against V5. If V5 beats Top Esports, I mean, now is the time to do it, right? I mean, this weekend has been filled with upsets. Most of this season has been favorites just dominating. But Top Esports against V5, we don't have the rosters or anything like that yet. 369 against Bew. 369 is the better player. Bew has been outperforming expectations all split. In the jungle, we have Karsa against Weiwei, Wee, whatever you want to call him. Doesn't matter what you call him. Karsa's better. Knight against Mole. Knight is obviously the better player. And then it's Jackie Love and Yuyanjia against the Big Dick bot lane. That's an interesting one. Top Esports is obviously better in the bot lane, but I think most of Top Esports' advantages from their players who play in the bot lane is it has to do more with going even and like taking their consistency and translating it around the map. So I think V5, they're probably going to have to just go all in on making plays in the bot lane, which is hopefully going to create some exciting matches. V5 has shown that they're able to win slow games and fast games. So it'll be very interesting. It's the first real test for V5 all season. At plus 281, not the easiest bet to make in the world. Sunning against Billy Gaming. I'm a huge Sunning fan. Billy Gaming with Meteor has been much better. If Billy Gaming wins, it's going to be because of Meteor, because of Wings. That's just really how their team operates now. But against Sunning, I think that SFM has shown he's a good jungler. I'm not the biggest Angel fan. And then we have Huanfeng and Sword Art. They've been underperforming recently, Sunning. They just haven't had great matches. I think this is a good spot for them to kind of turn it back on. So I do like both of the favorites again. I guess both dogs are technically live to win games, but I just don't see either team winning the match. If Billy Gaming is able to take this series off of Sunning, then we really have to start considering them in every match moving forward, because I think Sunning is much better than people are giving them credit for. So if Billy Gaming is able to take this series, I'll have to respect them a lot more than I do right now. But that's basically it. I'm going to get out of here. This is a pretty long video already. Thanks for watching. If you want to get access to all of my picks, make sure you check out Patreon. Make sure you check out Twitter. Follow me on Twitch. I stream most days at 10 o'clock. Didn't stream yesterday. Just wasn't feeling it. But I'll probably be back up there tonight. So come stop by, say hello, talk about the matches, play an ARAM or two, and have some fun. So thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.